You don't have to chase what you were born to attract. When you know your worth, you stop begging for someone to see it. You stop shrinking to fit in spaces you were meant to outgrow. You stop trying to be everything to everyone and finally become everything you were created to be. The right man doesn't need you to perform, impress, or prove your value. He needs you to be authentic. You don't have to wear a mask, overextend your energy, or dilute your light. If God placed greatness in you, trust that someone aligned with His purpose will recognize it. Without you trying to convince them, attraction is not about becoming louder, bolder, or more dramatic. It's about becoming confident in who you already are. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is quiet assurance that says, I'm enough. With or without the ring, with or without the title, I am enough. You attract from the place of peace, not pressure. From the posture of contentment, not anxiety. The world may say you need to compete, change your body, lower your standards. But that's not what real connection is built on. Real love recognizes real identity. Desperation will push what you're trying to pull. When you act like you need someone to complete you, you end up attracting someone who thinks they have to rescue you. That's not love. That's a transaction. You don't need saving. You've already been saved. You're not looking for a savior. You're walking in your purpose. And when you walk in purpose, you attract someone who is also walking in purpose. You meet not at the place of neediness, but at the intersection of calling. Your confidence becomes a magnet for the man who's been praying for someone just like you. Character is magnetic. Looks may catch the eye, but character captures the heart. We live in a world that's obsessed with outward appearances, but what keeps someone is what's on the inside. A kind spirit, a joyful heart, a gracious demeanor. These are the things that leave a lasting impression. Charm can fade. Chemistry can cool. But character never goes out of style. If you want to attract a man who's steady, mature, and committed, be the woman whose life reflects integrity, consistency, and truth. Don't underestimate the power of self-respect. A woman who honors herself teaches a man how to treat her without ever saying a word. Purpose will do the attracting for you. When you're busy being who God called you to be, you won't have to wonder if you're desirable. Purpose is attractive. A woman who knows where she's going draws the kind of man who wants to go somewhere too. If you're always available, always accommodating, always adjusting to fit in, you may attract attention, but you won't attract alignment. The right man doesn't want a woman who's waiting around for him to show up. He wants a woman who's already moving, already growing, already building. Don't press pause on your life waiting for someone to show up. Keep moving, keep climbing, keep becoming. And at the right time, the right one will come alongside you, not to rescue you, but to run with you. Peace is the most attractive fragrance you can wear. A peaceful woman stands out in a world full of anxiety. She doesn't have to raise her voice to be heard. She doesn't have to compete to be chosen. Her presence speaks louder than performance. When you carry peace, you create a space of safety. A man who's worth building with will be drawn to that kind of calm. You don't have to rush. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to make something happen in your own strength. God doesn't bless panic. He blesses trust. Rest in the truth that what's meant for you is not running from you. It's being prepared for you, and you're being prepared for it. It's tempting to think you have to change yourself to be more attractive. But the truth is, the right man won't be looking for a fantasy. He'll be looking for someone real. You don't need to dumb yourself down. You don't need to soften your voice or hide your accomplishments. The man that's aligned with your destiny will celebrate your strength, not compete with it. He'll be secure enough to let you shine. He won't be intimidated by your intelligence, your ambition, or your vision. He'll see it as a blessing, not a burden. You don't have to audition for love. When it's real, you'll know. It won't feel forced. It won't require you to lose yourself to gain affection. You are not for everyone, and that's okay. Stop shrinking so you can fit in someone else's comfort zone. You were made to stand tall, to shine bright, to walk in favor. Don't settle for attention when you were made for alignment. You weren't created to be a placeholder in someone's life. You were created to be a partner in purpose. If you have to beg for love, it's not love. If you have to convince someone you're worthy, they're not the one. The one who is for you will recognize you, pursue you, honor you, and protect what God is doing in your life. You don't have to demand it. It will be freely given. Sometimes the delay is protection. Sometimes God is hiding you on purpose, not because something is wrong with you, but because He's doing something right through you. He's building your confidence. He's sharpening your discernment. He's growing your faith. You may be waiting, but you're not wasting time. You're being refined. You're being rooted. You're being positioned. When the right one shows up, you'll be ready. And more importantly, you'll know the difference between someone who wants to date you and someone who's ready to build with you. The longer the preparation, the greater the purpose. You are the prize. You don't have to compete for what God already has for you. You don't have to fear being overlooked, rejected, or replaced. When you know who you are, you'll never have to question who you attract. The goal isn't just to be wanted. The goal is to be valued, not for what you do, but for who you are. And when the time is right, the one who is meant for you will see you, honor you, and walk with you. Not because you chased them down, but because you stayed true to who God called you to be. And that kind of beauty, it's irresistible. Attract with confidence, not desperation. That's more than just a cute phrase. It's a truth that will change how you show up in your relationships and how the right man will respond to you. Confidence isn't about walking in a room and expecting every eye to turn to you. Confidence is walking in and not needing anyone to look. It's the quiet, powerful belief that you are enough, that you are valuable, that you carry something worth noticing. Not because you're loud or flashy, but because you're rooted in who you are. Desperation whispers that you're running out of time, that if you don't lower your standards, you'll miss your moment. It pushes you to overextend, overgive, overperform just to be seen. But the truth is, what's meant for you won't need to be forced. Desperation is the language of fear. It says, I have to make something happen or it won't happen at all. But confidence speaks the language of faith. It says, I don't chase, I align. I don't beg, I believe. I don't panic, I prepare. There's a difference between pursuit and panic. Pursuit is intentional. Panic is reactive. And when you're operating out of panic, you'll try to hold on to what's not even yours, because you're afraid you won't find better. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not thinking you're better than anyone else. It's knowing you're not less. It's waking up every day with a sense of value that doesn't depend on someone else's validation. You don't need someone to like you to prove you're likable. You don't need someone to choose you to feel chosen. When your identity is rooted in God, your worth is no longer on the table. It's settled. And when your worth is settled, you don't have to audition for affection. You don't have to contort yourself into someone's ideal version just to feel accepted. You were never meant to be a chameleon, changing your colors just to blend into the background of someone else's life. You were meant to stand out in authenticity, to walk in rooms as the full version of yourself, not an edited highlight reel. The right man won't be intimidated by your confidence. He'll be drawn to it, because confidence brings clarity, and clarity is attractive. A confident woman knows what she wants, but more importantly, she knows what she's not willing to settle for. She's not playing games. She's not out here trying to trick someone into loving her. She knows that real love is honest, intentional, and respectful. Sometimes we confuse availability with value. We think that the more available we are, the more someone will value us. But the truth is, when you're always available, always giving, always pouring into someone else without boundaries, you're not showing confidence. You're signaling desperation. You were never meant to be the filler in someone else's emptiness. You're not here to rescue, fix, or prove your worth by how much you can endure. Confidence sets standards. Desperation erases them. Confidence says, I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not afraid to eat alone if I have to. Desperation says, I'll take whatever I can get just so I don't have to sit in silence. But silence isn't your enemy. Silence is often where your strength is built. It's in those seasons when no one's calling, no one's texting, no one's pursuing. That's when your confidence is tested. That's where you discover whether your identity is rooted in attention or in truth. Because if you need attention to feel valuable, you'll always be one compliment away from feeling whole and one rejection away from falling apart. But when your confidence is rooted deep, rejection doesn't shake you. It might sting, but it doesn't define you. Because you know who you are, with or without their yes. You weren't created to be a second thought. You weren't designed to chase after someone who can't see the treasure that you are. When you know you're a gift, you stop wrapping yourself in desperation. You walk in the room like you belong, not because of pride, but because of presence. There's a certain grace that rests on a woman who knows she doesn't have to chase love. She simply becomes love. She lives from a place of fullness, not lack. She's not asking someone to fill her cup. She's inviting someone to share in the overflow. If you want to attract the right kind of man, don't lead with desperation. Lead with wholeness, lead with joy, lead with purpose. Desperation attracts users. Confidence attracts partners. Desperation will draw people who want to take advantage of you. Confidence will draw people who want to build with you. And it's not about faking confidence either. It's about developing it, building it, day by day, moment by moment. Every time you choose peace over panic, every time you speak truth over your life instead of fear, every time you remind yourself that you are complete with or without a relationship, you're not waiting to be chosen. You already are. You're not waiting for someone to complete you. You're already whole. And when you live like that, you shift the atmosphere around you. You stop trying to convince someone to love you. You stop trying to prove your worth to someone who can't see it. You start moving differently, talking differently, carrying yourself with the quiet dignity of someone who knows their royalty. You weren't created to beg for attention. You were created to attract respect. And you do that not by trying harder, but by believing deeper. High standards aren't about being difficult. They're about being deliberate. They're not walls meant to keep love out. They're filters designed to protect your peace, your purpose, and your heart. There's nothing wrong with having high standards when you know your worth. In fact, when you truly understand who you are and what you carry, you don't see your standards as a burden. You see them as a blessing. You don't lower yourself to be liked, and you don't shrink to be seen. You stand tall in your truth, knowing that what God has for you won't require you to compromise who He created you to be. There's this pressure in our culture to settle, to make excuses for behavior that doesn't align with your values, to entertain relationships that drain you just because you're afraid of being alone. But the real danger isn't being alone. It's being with someone who costs you your identity. When you have high standards, you're not being unrealistic. You're being intentional. You're saying, I've come too far, healed too much, and grown too deep to go backwards now. And that kind of mindset doesn't repel the right man. It attracts him, because the right one won't be intimidated by your standards. He'll be inspired by them. He'll rise to meet them, not run from them. You don't have to apologize for wanting a relationship that's rooted in respect, honesty, and mutual purpose. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person when they make you feel like you are. See, people who aren't ready for depth will always label your standards as drama. But it's not drama to want consistency. It's not controlling to want clarity. It's not unrealistic to want commitment. That's called maturity, And maturity will always be misunderstood by those who are still playing games. You don't have to play small so someone else can feel comfortable. You're not called to babysit egos. You're called to build legacy. You're not asking someone to be perfect. You're asking them to be present, to be accountable, to be growing. A woman with standards doesn't settle for surface level connection. She's not just interested in chemistry. She's looking for character, because she knows that chemistry might start a fire, but only character can keep it burning. And the truth is, you can't build a future on a foundation that keeps shifting. Your standards are what keep your foundation solid. They remind you of what you deserve, even when your emotions try to convince you to settle for less. They're like guardrails for your heart, keeping you from falling into patterns that you've already been delivered from. And yes, sometimes when you hold to your standards, it may feel like everyone else is moving forward while you're being left behind. But don't mistake waiting for wasting. What looks like a delay is often a divine setup. God's not punishing you. He's protecting you. He's not keeping you from something. He's keeping something from breaking you. Because the wrong relationship can cost you more than just time. It can cost you peace, purpose, and identity. And when you're tempted to compromise just to fill a void, that's when you have to remind yourself of what you've prayed for. You didn't ask God for average. You asked Him for alignment. And alignment sometimes takes time. The right relationship won't ask you to lower your standards. It'll honor them. Because the right man will see your standards not as obstacles, but as invitations. An invitation to grow, to level up, to rise into who He's called to be. You don't have to manipulate or beg for that kind of love. You don't have to twist yourself into someone else's preference. You just have to be patient and stay rooted in who you are. Don't let loneliness talk you out of your standards. Don't let impatience lead you into something you'll have to heal from later. You're not behind because you're waiting. You're becoming. You're not being overlooked. You're being preserved. There's a difference. When you wait with standards, you position yourself for something that's not just emotionally satisfying, but spiritually aligned. Something that's not just cute for Instagram, but covered by purpose. And yes, the wait might stretch you. It might make you question yourself, but never let the delay convince you that your standards are the problem. They're not the problem. They're the protection. A man who is truly meant for you will not need you to compromise the core of who you are. He will value your no just as much as your yes. He will respect your boundaries because he understands that love without honor is not love at all. It's control. And you weren't made to be controlled. You were made to be cherished. When you have high standards, you give God room to show you His best. You make space for something real, something sacred, something worth waiting for. So don't adjust your crown to fit someone who's not meant to wear one beside you. Don't dull your shine so someone else can feel bright. Your standards are a reflection of your healing, your growth, and your value. And when you keep them high, not out of pride, but out of purpose, you'll find that what's meant for you will meet you right there, not beneath you, not behind you, but beside you. Because that's what real love does. It aligns, it uplifts, and it honors. Keep your standards and trust that the right one will recognize the worth in every one of them. True beauty flows from the inside out. It's not just the way you wear your hair or the style of your clothes or how polished your appearance is, though there's nothing wrong with caring for those things. But the kind of beauty that attracts the right kind of man, the kind of beauty that draws in someone who sees you for who you really are, is the beauty that radiates from your spirit. It's the way you carry peace in a chaotic world. It's the kindness you extend when no one's looking. It's the strength in your silence and the grace in your words. That's the beauty that doesn't fade, doesn't crack under pressure, doesn't disappear when the lights are off and the makeup is gone. There's a difference between being noticed and being valued. The world teaches women how to get attention, But attention isn't the same as affection. You can be seen and still not be cherished. You can be admired and still not be respected. That's why inner beauty matters, because it speaks to something deeper than attraction. It speaks to alignment. A woman who walks in inner beauty draws a man who's not just looking for someone to stand beside him in pictures, but someone to stand with him in purpose. And the truth is, a beautiful heart will always outshine a beautiful face. You don't need to chase trends or compete with images on a screen. When you're secure in your spirit, your presence alone shifts atmospheres. You don't have to do the most to prove you're enough. You already are. There's a softness that comes with inner beauty, but don't mistake it for weakness. It takes strength to stay kind in a cruel world. It takes wisdom to hold your peace when you're misunderstood. It takes faith to keep believing in love when your heart has been through disappointment. That quiet strength is radiant. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't scream for attention. It commands respect without saying a word. It's found in a gentle smile, a patient spirit, a gracious response. It's in the way you speak life over others, even when you're waiting for breakthrough yourself. That's beauty that can't be faked. That's beauty that lasts. When you're focused on developing your inner beauty, you're not worried about competing with the next woman. You're not checking profiles to see who he's following. You're not insecure about who's in the room with you, because you've learned that your value doesn't come from comparison. It comes from character. And character is what builds connection. A man who's mature, a man who's walking in purpose, is not just looking for a body. He's looking for a spirit he can trust, a woman he can pray with, dream with, grow with. And that kind of relationship isn't built on surface. It's built on soul. Some people will overlook you because they're distracted by what's loud and obvious. But the one who's meant for you will see what's quiet and rare. He'll notice how you handle adversity, how you encourage others, how you carry yourself with integrity. That's what real men are drawn to. Not just beauty that fades, but beauty that builds. Because inner beauty builds families, builds futures, builds faith. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't just impress, it impacts. And when you live from that place, you stop needing to prove yourself. You don't need to over-explain who you are. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You simply show up as yourself. And that is more than enough. When your spirit is beautiful, it shines through your actions, your attitude, your energy. You bring peace into the room. You speak life into dead situations. You lift others even when you feel low. That's rare. That's sacred. And it's exactly what the right kind of man is praying for. Not just someone who looks good in public, but someone who's solid in private. Someone who brings calm when things get tough. Someone who knows how to fight in prayer, not just with words. That's the kind of beauty that holds marriages together. That's the kind of beauty that raises children in strength. That's the kind of beauty that can't be taken away by time, by age, or by circumstance. So many women are exhausted from trying to keep up with an image that was never theirs to begin with. But when you take that energy and pour it into your soul, healing, growing, becoming, you begin to radiate from the inside out. People can feel it before you say a word. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about being whole. It's about being real. Inner beauty is honest. It's vulnerable. It's rooted in truth. And when you live in that truth, you'll attract someone who values that truth. You don't have to compete with the highlight reels. You don't have to become someone you're not. You just have to be committed to becoming the best version of who you already are. And the right man will recognize that. He'll see past the surface and into the substance. Because he's not looking to be impressed. He's looking to be connected. He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for authenticity. And that kind of connection is birthed in the spirit, not the spotlight. When your spirit is healed, when your heart is whole, and your soul is at peace, you become magnetic. Not because of what you wear, but because of what you carry. That's what makes you unforgettable. That's what makes you truly beautiful. Confidence is not loud, arrogant, or self-centered. True confidence is quiet strength. It's that steady assurance that walks into a room and doesn't need to be the center of attention to be seen. Confidence is not about competing with others. It's about being so at peace with who you are that you're not threatened by who anyone else is. And when a woman walks in that kind of confidence, she draws the right kind of attention. She doesn't chase love because she knows love worth, having will recognize her worth without her having to prove it. She doesn't beg for validation because her value isn't up for debate. She knows who she is, and more importantly, she knows who she is. There's something magnetic about a woman who is rooted in her identity. When she speaks, there's conviction in her tone, not because she's trying to convince anyone, but because she's already convinced. She's convinced that she's enough. She's convinced that she's worthy of love, worthy of respect, worthy of being pursued. Not because of her appearance, but because of her essence. And that confidence doesn't come from compliments or attention. It comes from doing the inner work. It comes from healing the places that once made her feel unworthy. It comes from letting go of the lie that said she had to be perfect to be chosen. A confident woman isn't afraid of being alone because she knows she's whole even when she's not in a relationship. She doesn't view singleness as something to escape, but as a season to grow. She's not waiting to be chosen. She's choosing herself every single day. She knows her peace is not something to be compromised, and her time is not something to be wasted. That kind of posture is powerful. It shifts how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you show up. You stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start declaring, "I am more than enough." You stop entertaining what drains you and start aligning with what builds you. Confidence doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you don't let fear or doubt make your decisions. It means you show up even when you're nervous. It means you walk into the room not to impress anyone, but to be fully yourself. It's in the way you laugh without apology. It's in the way you say no without guilt. It's in the way you hold your standards without wavering. That kind of confidence is rare, and it's attractive because it signals that you don't need a man to complete you. You want one who compliments you. You're not looking to be rescued. You're looking to be respected. You don't need someone to build you. You've already been built by the grace of God. The right man won't be intimidated by your confidence. He'll be drawn to it. He'll see your independence not as a threat, but as a strength. He'll admire the way you lead yourself, the way you honor your own boundaries, the way you refuse to shrink to fit into someone else's idea of love. Because confidence isn't just attractive, it's contagious. It gives others permission to rise into their best selves. It sets the tone for the kind of relationship you're available for. You're not playing games. You're not sending mixed signals. You're walking in truth. And that truth draws real connection. When you carry confidence, you attract from a place of clarity. You know what you want, but more importantly, you know what you won't tolerate. You don't confuse attention with affection. You're not impressed by charm without consistency. You're not interested in someone who only shows up when it's convenient. Because you've built something solid within yourself. You won't accept anything shallow outside of yourself. That's how confidence protects you. It keeps you from settling. It keeps you from entertaining what's beneath the level you've grown to. Some may call you intimidating, but that's only because they're used to women who don't know their worth. They're used to manipulation, not maturity. But you weren't built to play small. You were created to be a partner in purpose, not a placeholder for someone's ego. You were designed to walk beside, not behind. Confidence helps you recognize that you're not desperate. You're not discerning. You're not picky. You're not precise. Because you know your time, your energy, your heart. Those are sacred. And you won't hand them over to just anyone who comes with flattery but no foundation. There's beauty in the way a confident woman knows how to love herself. It shows in the way she treats her body, the way she guards her peace, the way she disciplines her mind. It's in her posture, her presence, her decisions. She's not loud about it, but it speaks volumes. She walks in a room and doesn't have to announce herself. Her spirit does that for her. She's not afraid of rejection because she knows rejection is just redirection. She's not shaken by someone who walks away because she trusts that what's meant for her won't miss her.